Well, I'm obviously very dedicated because how am I right now about to carry a book at midnight to read? I wish myself all the best. But in the meantime, my lips are dry. Um, I'm gonna see how long it's going to take me to read one chapter of the book, and you guys are gonna watch me do it. Oh my god, not me sounding like I'm about to break world record or something. Let's get right into it. This is the book I'm reading. Earlier, I read the prologue. Like, I was supposed to have gone to Google and actually check to confirm that what I was actually saying is really what it is. But yeah. Anyway, uh, let's get right into it. Let's not waste too much time. Yeah, tissue, late already. Right. Show your work. All right. So I'm gonna start from chapter one. It says you don't have to be a genius. I don't know if I should wear glasses at this point, but let's go on. Let's go. You don't have to be a genius. See what I mean by that. Find a genius. What does that even mean? Give what you have to someone. It may be better than you dare to think. By Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Yeah, deep stuff. Wow, this book is filled with thickness. Let's go. There are a lot of destructive myths about creativity, but one of the most dangerous is the lone genius myth. An individual with superhuman talent appears out of nowhere at certain points in history, free of influences or precedent, with a direct connection to God or the muse. When inspiration comes, it strikes like a lightning bolt. A light bulb switches on his head, and then he spends the rest of his time toiling away in his studio, shaping this idea into a finished masterpiece that he releases into the world to great fanfare. If you believe in the lone genius myth, creativity is an antisocial act performed by only a few great figures, mostly dead men with names like Mozart, Einstein, or Picasso. The rest of us are left to stand around and gawk in awe at their achievements. There's a healthier way of thinking about creativity that the musician Brian Eno refers to as genius. Under this model, great ideas are often birthed by a group of creative individuals, artists, curators, thinkers, theorists, and other tastemakers who make up an ecology of talent. If you look back closely at history, many of the people who we think of as lone geniuses were actually part of a whole scene of people who were supporting each other, looking at each other's work, copying from each other, stealing ideas, and contributing ideas. Seniors doesn't take away from the achievements of those great individuals. It just acknowledges that good work isn't created in a vacuum, and that creativity is always, in some sense, a collaboration, the result of a mind connected to other minds. What I love about the idea of seniors is that it makes room in the story of creativity for the rest of us. The people who don't consider themselves or ourselves geniuses. Being a valuable part of a seniors is not necessarily about how smart or talented you are, but about what you have to contribute. The ideas you share, the quality of connections you make, and the conversations you start. If we forget about genius and think more about how we can nurture and contribute to a seniors, we can adjust our own exceptions and the exceptions of the world we want to accept us. We can stop asking what others can do for us and start asking what we can do for others. We live in an age where it's easier than ever to join a seniors. The internet is basically a bunch of seniors connected together, divorced from physical geography. Blogs, social media sites, email groups, discussion boards, forums, they are all the same thing. Virtual scenes where people go to hang out and talk about the things they care about. There's no bouncer, no gatekeeper, and no barrier to entering these scenes. You don't have to be rich, you don't have to be famous, and you don't have to have a fancy resume or a degree from an expensive school. Online, everyone, the artist and the curator, the master and the apprentice, the expert and the amateur has the ability to contribute something. Be an amateur. Be an amateur. Hope I'm not going to another. Um, okay, you don't have to. You can still under chapter one. We're still in chapter one. Let me see how many pages. Eh? Wait. Oh. The next one is in 30, page 30, and I'm currently on 15, bro. Let's see how far we go. Let's see how far we go. Just calm down, buddy. Calm down. We're doing this. I'm actually enjoying the book reading. Be an amateur. That's all any of us are, amateurs. We don't live long enough to be anything else. Says Charlie Chaplin. Wow. We are all terrified of being reviewed as amateurs. But in fact, today, it is the amateur, the enthusiast who pursues our work in the spirit of love. In French, the word means lover, regardless of the potential for fame, money, or career, who often has the advantage over the professional. Because they have little to lose, amateurs are willing to try anything and share the results. They take chances, they experiment, and they follow their whims. Sometimes, in the process of doing things in an unprofessional way, they make new discoveries. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, said Zen monk Shunryu Suzuki. In the expert's mind, there are few. Amateurs are not afraid to make mistakes or look ridiculous in public. They are in love. So they don't hesitate to do work that others think of as stupid, as silly, or just plain stupid. The stupidest people, the stupidest, sorry, the stupidest possible creative act is still a creative act, writes Clay Shirky in his book Cognitive Surplus. On the spectrum of creative work, the difference between the mediocre and the good is vast. Mediocrity is, however, still in the spectrum. You can move from mediocre to good in increments. The real gap is between doing nothing and doing something. Amateurs know that contributing something is better than contributing nothing. Amateurs might lack formal training, but they are all lifelong learners and they make a point of learning in the open so that others can learn from their failures and successes. Writer David Foster Wallace said that he thought good non-fiction was a chance to watch somebody reasonably bright but also reasonably average pay far closer attention and think at far more length than all about all sorts of different stuff that most of us have a chance to in our daily lives. Amateurs fit the same bill. They are just regular people who get obsessed by something and spend a ton of time thinking out loud about it. Sometimes amateurs have more to teach us than experts. It often happens that two schoolboys can solve difficulties in their work for one another better than master can. Hmm. Wrote author C.S. Lewis. The fellow pupil can help more than the master because he knows less. The difficulty we want the difficulty we want him to explain is one he has recently met. The expert met it so long ago he has forgotten. Watching amateurs at work can also inspire us to attempt the work ourselves. I saw the Sex Pistols said New Order frontman Bernard Sommer they were terrible. I wanted to get up and be terrible with them. Raw enthusiasm is contagious. The world is changing at such a rapid rate, and it is turning us all into amateurs. Even for professionals, the best way to flourish is to retain an amateur spirit and embrace uncertainty and the unknown. When Radiohead frontman Tom York was asked what he thought his greatest strength was, he answered, "That I don't know what I am doing." Like one of his heroes, Tom Waits, whenever York feels like his songwriting is getting too comfortable or still, he will pick up an instrument he doesn't know how to play and try to rise with it. This is yet another trait of amateurs. They will use whatever tools they can get their hands on to try to get their ideas into the world. I am an artist. I'm an artist man, said John Lennon. Give me a tuba and I'll get you something out of it. The best way to get started on the path to sharing your work is to think about what you want to learn and make a commitment to learn in front of others. Find a seniors, pay attention to what others are sharing, and then start taking note of what they are not sharing. Be on the look for voids that you can fill with your own efforts, no matter how bad they are at first. Don't worry for now about how you make money or a career of it. Forget about being an expert or a professional and wear an amateurism. Your love, your art on your sleeve. Share what you love, and people who love the same things will find you. You can't find your voice if you don't use it. Find your voice. Shout it from the rooftops. Keep doing it until the people that are looking for you find you. Dan Hammond. We are always being told, find your voice. When I was younger, I never really knew what this meant. I used to worry a lot about voice, wondering if I had my own. But now I realize that the only way to find your voice is to use it. It is hardwired, built into you. Talk about the things you love, your voice will follow. When the late film critic Roger Ebert went through several intense surgeries to treat his cancer, he lost the ability to speak. He lost his voice, physically and permanently. Here was a man who made a great deal of his living by speaking on television, and now he couldn't say a word. In order to communicate with his friends and family, he would have to either scribble responses on a pad of paper or type on his Mac and have the awkward computer voice read it out loud through his laptop speakers. Cut off from everyday conversation, he poured himself into tweeting, posting on Facebook, and blogging at rogerbart.com. He stripped out posts at a breakneck speed, writing thousands and thousands of words about everything he could think of: his boyhood in Urbana, Illinois, his love for steak and shake, his conversations with famous movie actors, his thoughts on his inevitable death. Hundreds and hundreds of people would respond to his posts, and he would respond back. Blogging became his primary way of communicating with the world. On the web, my real voice finds expression, he wrote. Ebert knew his time on planet was short, and he wanted to share everything he could in the time he had left. Mr. Ebert writes as if it were a matter of life and death, wrote journalist Janet Maslin, because it is. Ebert was blogging because he had to blog, because it was a matter of being heard or not being heard, a matter of existing or not existing. It sounds a little extreme, but in this day and age, if your work isn't online, it doesn't exist. We all have the opportunity to use our voices, to have our say. but so many of us are wasting it. If you want people to know what you do and the things you care about, you have to share. Read obituaries. Alright. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked, says Steve Jobs. Read obituaries again. If all this sounds scary or like a lot of work, consider this. One day you'll be dead. Most of us prefer to ignore this most basic fact of life. But thinking about our inevitable end as a way of putting everything into perspective, we've all read stories of near-death experiences changing people's lives. When George Lucas was a teenager, he almost died in a car accident. He decided every day now is an extra day. Dedicated himself to film and went on to direct Star Wars. Wayne Coyne, lead singer of the Flaming Lips, was 16 when he was held up while working at the Long John Silver's. I realized I was going to die, he says. And when that gets into your mind, it utterly changed me. I thought, I'm not going to sit here and wait for things to happen. I'm going to make them happen. And if people think I'm an idiot, I don't care. Tim Crader, in his book We Learn Nothing, says that getting stabbed in the throat was the best thing to ever happen to him. For a whole year, he was happy and life was good. You'd like to think that nearly getting killed would be a permanently life-altering experience. Crader writes, but the illumination didn't last. Eventually, he was back to the busy work of living. The writer George Saunders spoke of his own near-death experience, said, for 3 or 4 days after that, it was the most beautiful world. To have gotten back in it. And the thought, if you could walk around like that all the time, to really have that awareness that is actually going to end, that's the trick. Unfortunately, I am a coward. As much as I would like the existential euphoria that comes with it, I don't really want a near-death experience. I want to stay safe and stay away from death as much as I can. I certainly don't want to taunt or court it or invite it any closer than it needs to be. But I do somehow want to remember that it's coming for me. It's for this reason that I read the obituaries every morning. Obituaries are like near-death experiences for cowards. Reading them is a way for me to think about death while also keeping it at arm's length. Obituaries aren't really about death, they are about life. The sum of every obituary is how heroic people are and how noble, writes artist Myra Kalman. Reading about people who are dead now and did things with their lives makes me want to get up and do something decent with mine. Thinking about death every morning makes me want to live. Now, all right, try it. Start reading the obituaries every morning. Take inspiration from people who modeled through life before you. They all started out as amateurs and they got where they were going by making do with what they were given and having the guts to put themselves out there. Follow their example. Oh my goodness, I did it! I did it, I did it, I did it. I just finished reading a chapter of a book. Ooh. I just have a book and I'm being excited. I wonder how excited I'm going to be when I finish reading the whole book. Oh my god! So let's do this. I have how many? There are 10. There are 10 chapters in this book. 10 chapters. 10 chapters, roughly about 10, 20 pages for each. So I want to see if I can finish this book in 10 days. I will be so excited. I will be, oh my god, is that me? Ah. Sorry, I need to be with myself. I apologize. But yeah, I think that's it all for my reading for today. I guess till tomorrow. Yeah.